I think AI will probably, most likely sort of lead to the end of the world.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
Yes?
I don't know. I would...
So what would you be saying to people about their career prospects in a world of superintelligence?
Trained to be a plumber.
Really?
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of 2070 Web Developer. The video series where we explore futuristic technologies to become lazier developers. And oh boy, just when you thought it couldn't get any lazier, we are so back with a new method on how to make websites. Automation. But before we get to that, we need to recap the 2070 web dev methodology. Every website starts with an idea, but original thoughts make my brain hurt, so we use ChatGPT to generate it for us. Once we have our website idea, we need to build the app. But asking me to write code is like asking me to drive my own car. It's not happening. So we prompt v0.dev to build the prototype for our ChatGPT generated idea. When it comes to hosting, I really just can't be f***ed. So we use Vercel to automatically deploy our v0.dev built application. Now, you may have noticed that there is a flaw in this process. It's too much effort. But what if there was a way to do all of this in just one click? Introducing Postman Flows. You may already know Postman as that place where you store all your garbage, unorganized API calls. Well, with Postman Flows, you can take all of your garbage API requests and turn them into garbage API applications. Navigate to the Flows tab in Postman and create a new Flow module. You can add blocks, which can be used to store information or perform a task, draw wires between the blocks, and open the debug panel to view run logs. As an example, here is an API request to get a random image of a dog, and here is an API request to send a text message via Twilio. When I put these two API calls together, it creates a very subtle way for my girlfriend to drop the hint that she wants a pet. But how can Postman Flows make me a lazier developer? We'll start by creating a post request to OpenAI's API, asking it to generate an app idea. We'll also create a request to v0.dev to build an app and give us the code. We can now stitch these two API calls together, taking the response from ChatGPT and passing it to v0. And we'll add a request to Vercel to deploy the app once it's built. With these API requests available in our collection, we are now ready to create a chain reaction that will destroy the world. Allow me to introduce you to the Sloppenheimer 9000, aka Sloppenheimer. So it wasn't quite as simple as chaining a few API requests together. I've written some absolute jank code to pass the data returned from the calls, and then timing the deployment proved difficult, so I just threw on a couple of delay blocks to make sure we wouldn't trigger a deployment before the Vercel project was ready. Nevertheless, when I click this blue button, ChatGPT will come up with a unique idea for a web app. We pass this idea to the v0.dev API, which will return back an array of files for a Next.js application. We create a GitHub repo and upload all of v0.dev's files to it. This way I can flex my slop code publicly and I get those sweet GitHub contributions. We then create a Vercel project linked to the GitHub repo and trigger a deployment. With this, ladies and gentlemen, I believe I have successfully cracked the laziest way to make websites. With the effort that it took to push a button, I was able to create billion-dollar web applications such as Mindful Meetings, which schedules meetings, and Data Gem, which gives you personalized recommendations for which gemstone you should buy. and Task Tracker, which tracks tasks, and Task Tracker, which also tracks tasks. Now, you may be thinking that these ideas are lame and won't make any money, and you may be right. However, if I have 1,000 instances of the Sloppenheimer 9000 automation running constantly, eventually one of them will create the greatest website ever. Or I will cause the destruction of the world via environmental collapse. Whichever comes first. So after running the automation a few times, I found that ChatGPT doesn't actually have that many ideas, and it would constantly churn out the same app. So I created a Google Sheet to store all the app ideas and passed them to the ChatGPT prompt to ensure it wouldn't make the same app twice. It still made the same idea multiple times. Now, you may be wondering how much this costs to run. The ChatGPT idea generation is generally less than a cent per request. The V0 app generator costs around 20 to 30 cents per request. The majority of the payment comes from having to subscribe to Vercel and V0 to access their APIs, which costs $20 each per month. With this in mind, I can no longer afford to run Sloppenheimer. Thank you for watching.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.